It is my pleasure to be your MC today, and I do have a housekeeping tip for you for when you leave today. The driveway that you came in on is a one-way driveway. Please go north when you leave the facility today, otherwise we're going to have some serious traffic problems. Now I would like you to please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Clark County Sheriff Office's Color Guard.
Ready, set. Cut. Mark.
Thank you, Nick. Please remain standing as you are able for the invocation. It is delivered today by Pastor Craig Brown, a longtime member of the countywide chaplaincy program. The chaplaincy program serves our community by sending volunteer clergy to the scenes of serious and fatal crimes and vehicle accidents. Pastor Brown.
Would you pray with me? Our God, creator and sustainer of all that is and will be, accept our thanks for this day of community encouragement. Thank you for the privilege and honor of living in this country, in your great Pacific Northwest, and in this community of Clark County. We invoke your presence into the life of our community. Grant that each of us fulfill our responsibility to peacefully coexist within our community with concern and respect for one another. Guide us to be light and salt in times which often appear dark and tasteless. Instill within us a hunger for human integrity and dignity in all we think, say, and do. May we build today a solid foundation upon which future generations can grow and thrive. And in this afternoon's celebration of community, bring renewal in our devotion to do the right thing for the sake of honoring the dignity and diversity of each individual throughout Clark County. To you, God, the one in whom our dollar bills remind us to trust, we gratefully offer this prayer today. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Brown. We are fortunate to have so many with us here today. We've gathered in a building that exemplifies our community and its can-do attitude. When the popularity of square dancing outgrew the Grange halls and community centers, forward-looking, good-faith dancers kicked in $500 and formed a shareholder corporation to buy this property and build a large dance facility. For months, they continued to buy $100 shares, and they held bake sales and garage sales to make their vision a reality. Construction started in 1978. And we are skipping something here. You can be seated, yeah. You're an obedient bunch. This is great. Okay. So who built this? Square dancers and other skilled volunteers, people who saw the value of doing something for the community. The first so-called dance was held here about a month later when the volunteers laid down their hammers and took to the subflooring they had just completed. Square dancers have continued to volunteer their time to maintain this building and the grounds. And they have opened the doors to events such as this one. Being here inside this building is a good reminder of what we have and what we value in this community. Our desire to preserve and enhance this community's history for generations to come. I know my museum staff does that, our community volunteers do that, and public servants do that. We'll meet some of our volunteers a little later, but right now, please help me welcome our elected officials who are here today. Representatives of our congressional delegation, the courts, law enforcement, education, public utilities, cities and towns, ports, freeholders, and first responders. All elected officials, please stand and be recognized, and let's please give them a warm round of applause. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce Doug Ballou. Doug is one of those people who define the meaning of community volunteer. He has given time and effort to the Walk and Knock food drive and children's events put on by the Salmon Creek Lions Club. He's been an officer in the Northeast Hazeldale Neighborhood Association and participated in citizen advisory efforts focused on parks, public safety, budgets, and land use. In the schools, Doug has served as a junior achievement consultant. He is chair of the Neighborhood Association Council of Clark County, a seat he has voluntarily occupied for 2 decades. In that capacity, Doug is here today to recognize county employees on behalf of the Neighborhood Council. Please welcome Doug Ballou.
Hello, everyone. I've asked Art Stubb, our Vice Chair of the Neighborhood Association's Council of Clark County, to join me in these couple of awards. But first, before I get into that, having this event here at the Dance Center brought back a lot of memories for me. I know in my school, square dancing was a required activity in junior high. So you learned how to square dance, and my parents were active in the square dance community too. So it's just wonderful to see this great facility in our community, and that square dancing is alive and well here in Clark County. So with that, we've got a couple of awards to hand out on behalf of the neighborhood associations, but first what I'd like to do is I want to take this opportunity to thank our Board of Clark County Commissioners for providing this opportunity so that neighborhood associations can recognize outstanding performance by Clark County employees in the service to our community. I've lost track of exactly how many years we've been doing this, but I know it's been well over 10 years, and we've been at several venues, and it's just really great to see the number of employees that are just doing a fabulous job out there. And I want to say that the cast of all of our employees they're doing just fantastic work, but we want to take the time today to recognize a couple of great folks that are doing something really special. So. Okay, so that gets us to the first awardee here. So, our first recipient has worked for the county since 2001. And he's a longtime Clark County resident, over 40 years. Hails originally here from the Pacific Northwest. He learned at a very early age from his parents, both of which were distinguished local educators, that hard work, commitment, education, and the lifelong pursuit of knowledge are keys to success in life. The person I'm talking about is Paul Scarpelli, Manager in Community Development responsible for code compliance, animal control, and finance. Paul has a lot of responsibility as a Clark County manager. He and his team in code compliance have worked closely with our neighborhood associations and neighbors to eliminate eyesores and problem areas and to assure a quality of life in our communities. His team accomplishes a lot with very limited resources. Paul finds the time to give back to the community. He's a Clark County Foundation board member and president of the Clark College Penguin Athletic Club. He serves on the finance committee of Our Lady of Lourdes, is a parishioner, and helps with fundraising. He volunteers for Vancouver Rodeo, Clark County Saddle Club, and Maryhill Winery. Finally, he's past president of the North Salmon Creek Neighborhood Association. Paul's the kind of person that if you need help, he'll be there to get things done efficiently, effectively, and with a positive and inspiring attitude. He's a dedicated family man, public servant, and community volunteer who gives endlessly of his time, knowledge, and experience. He has a lot of passion and enthusiasm in all that he does. For his service to our community, please join me in thanking Paul Scarpelli. Paul?
Thank you, everyone. Although when my sister and some lifelong friends show up this afternoon, I kind of suspected something was amiss. The story is true. I have nothing good to say. Nothing but good things to say about. A little nervous about my parents, and I'm reminded of there was a day when I was driving somewhere out in rural Clark County, which wasn't that far outside of town. It was probably like 55th Street or something back in the day, and saying something to my mom like, "Gosh, I just really wish there wasn't so much junk laying about, and I wish that I could someday invent a machine where you could just zap the junk away and just make it pristine like it should be." Lo and behold, I'm in charge of code enforcement. And haven't figured out how to make that machine yet, but we're trying our best. So keep calling in your complaints, and we'll do what we can. I thank you, the NAC board, for nominating me, and I'm certainly surprised and humbled by this. I'd like to thank my wife, obviously, for allowing me as much free time as she does in the last few years to get out there and try to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Our next recipient is talented, creative, and knows how to squeeze the most out of a dollar. Both of his degrees are from Washington State University. Go Cougs. I'm a fellow alumni. He has a bachelor and master's degree in limnology. You may wonder, what is limnology? I asked the same question. Well, it's known as freshwater science, the study of lakes and ponds. The person I'm talking about is Ron Wyringra. He's a Clark County Environmental Services Division Manager. Ron has been with Clark County for about 10 years now, and for the past 5 years he has served as the Clean Water Program Manager. This past year, Ron was instrumental in helping the county meet compliance with regulatory requirements for clean water, as well as negotiate a settlement that ended years of litigation over the county violating the Clean Water Act. As a result, we will see new investment over the next several years that help protect and restore Clark County rivers and streams impacted by stormwater pollution. Over the years, he has found ways to do more with less. Even with inadequate program funding, Ron has helped Clark County be a leader in clean water in so many ways. Fellow colleagues told me that in the face of significant financial, organizational, and policy challenges, Ron is still able to maintain some sense of humor through it all. For his service to our community, please join me in thanking Ron Wyringra.
I know, it is. Wow, like Paul, I'm probably even a little more surprised. I think I'm shocked. So I really don't have anything to say. This really means a lot to me, and I really appreciate the opportunities we have to work, for this great community, and really provide the good service that we can. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. It's my great pleasure to introduce Commissioner Steve Stewart. Steve grew up here in Clark County, and this is where he chose to raise his elder son, Jeb, and where he and his wife, Heather, are raising their 2-year-old, Obi. Steve has served as the County Commissioner for District 3 for 9 years, having been appointed in 2004, and then elected in 2005, 2006, and 2010. Steve received bachelor's degrees in business and sociology from Linfield College and went on to earn a law degree from the University of Oregon. He has a long-standing interest in public policy, especially land use planning. Commissioner Stewart's board assignments this year include the Joint Policy Advisory Committee on Transportation, Metropolitan Policy Advisory Committee, and once again he represents local government in Olympia as a member of the Legislative Steering Committee for the Washington Association of Counties. Please help me welcome Commissioner Steve Stewart. I'll just give this to you, Steve.
Thanks. You're all very kind. Thank you. And thank you for that great introduction, Doug. Thank you for being here today and for all the work you do in our community. Art Stubbs and Doug Ballou were up here just a little bit ago giving awards to our employees, but these are people who have given to our community on a daily basis for many, many years in a wide variety of capacities, and they do it for no pay. They do it for no thanks. They do it because they care about our community. So can we give a big hand to Doug and Art and all of our community volunteers, please? Stand up. Up. There you go. We honestly couldn't do it without them. We couldn't do it without you. And so we thank you all for being here this afternoon, and we thank all of you who brought a food donation to keep the shelves stocked at the Clark County Food Bank. So I'll tell you just a little bit about the Clark County Food Bank for those of you who are here and may be watching at home. In fiscal year 2012, the food bank distributed more than 3.9 million pounds of food. That amounted to 121,000 emergency boxes. More than 1/3 of those who received those boxes were kids. So thank you to everyone in this audience who brought a donation today. If you forgot to bring something, please consider making a financial contribution as you leave today. So thank you to all of you from the food bank for being here. There are some staff in the back. Thanks for all of your work for our community. Can we give them a hand as well, please? So the first thing we get to do today is we have the pleasure of sharing some of the great work your fellow citizens are doing as volunteers in programs that benefit the community and community at large. Before we do that, we do things as a board, and we do this as a board. So I would certainly invite our chair, Tom Mielke, who you will hear from, and our commissioner, David Medor, who you will hear from as well. Commissioners, would you please come up and help us give these to the community? Can we get a big hand for our commissioners, please? Nice job. I'm really not supposed to clap while I have a mic in my hand, but nice to see you. All right. So here are the 2014 winners of the Spirit of Clark County Awards. And I will tell you a little bit about them, and then we'll ask them to come up. First, Ann Foster is the recipient of this year's Individual Award. Ann serves on the Clark County Food System Council, advocating for land use policies that support local food producers. She is a tireless volunteer who is dedicating her retirement years to improving access to healthy food and strengthening local food systems. Ann Foster, everyone. And standing in the aisle just waving at me. No, there's an award. You come up and we'll give you stuff. It's great. Exactly. It's a long walk. There's a lot of room in here. We're going to have dancing later, so we open the floor up for that. And thank you so much for everything. Thank you for all your work. And they have.
Congratulations. And it comes up where don't drop it.
Yes. Good call, Commissioner. Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, because I do want to say a couple of things.
Of course. Please do.
Thank you. So once again, I want you all to take a look at the shirt. Notice Salmon Creek Farmers Market. Okay? And the back of the shirt. And you gentlemen, if you'd like to borrow the shirt at any time, let me know. This is very exciting. This is very exciting. And on the heels of the Academy Awards the other night, I should be prepared to thank my parents and my kids, and my director and my agent, and all those who voted for me. But in fact, the ones that I want to thank the most are those friends of mine at Clark County Public Health Chronic Disease Prevention Group, who are sitting in the audience today, who really understand and therefore recognize and support the importance of local farms in our community and the farmers markets that help deliver those products to you, the citizens. They work tirelessly on food access problems in this community, and they are well aware of all the services and all the ways that we can distribute our local products to those in particular who need it the most. So I bet you all didn't know that there are actually 7 farmers markets in Clark County. Okay? During the height of the farmers market season, 5 out of 7 days a week you can find a farmers market in 7 different locations, actually 6 different locations in the county, and at varying times of the day. There is absolutely no reason that you should not go to a local farmers market in Clark County. Farmers markets and farm stands, in honor of Bill Zimmerman back there, provide innumerable services to the community, not only helping to access local produce to the neighborhoods around the county, but also in providing a sense of community. Probably the single most important thing that you as a citizenry can remember to do is to buy from these people. Put your money in their pockets. They're your neighbors. They're going to spend it in the community. They're going to get big and hire employees. They're going to become successful, but only if you buy from them. So that's my one message, my one request today, is that sometime during the course of this next year, you make an effort to visit a local farmer's market, a local farm stand, and buy what is locally produced. So lastly, and I know I'm probably over my minute here, I think all of those of you who are winning awards today would agree with me when I say that for every one of us, there are dozens of volunteers out there with the same passion, the same intensity of purpose, giving up weekends, giving up spare time, giving up energy, giving up resources for something that they truly care about. I know in my case with the Salmon Creek Farmers Market, it's my neighbors who come to the market every week. It's my husband, who doesn't really have a choice. The shirt, remember the shirt here. It's local teens that come from the schools to help set up the canopies, tear down the canopies, lock up the porta potty, clean up the trash, put the chairs away, put the tables away. And without them, of course, we wouldn't be successful at all. So I would like to take this and share it with each of them. Thank you.
You got to take that with you now, if you're going to share it with them. She shared just a little bit of the passion that she has with you. Just imagine that on a daily basis being put into action, and that is what Ann has brought to the community. So once again, Ann, thank you for all of your continued work. Our next award is this year's Group Award. And this year's Group Award goes to Anita Will and the Whipple Creek Restoration Committee. They logged 899 volunteer hours, making major improvements at Whipple Creek Regional Park, as well as securing financing and resources for the improvements. So do we have representatives from the committee here? We do. Councilwoman, come on up. We have others. Congratulations. Hey, Anita, thanks for all your work. Appreciate it. Here, come on up here. I'll get out of your way. Here you go. Appreciate it.
I don't know how many of you have ever been out to Whipple Creek Park, but it is the real jewel of Clark County. And you need to take a trip out there and just check it out. These volunteers behind me have supported me through all my pastoring of everyone to get on board with this project. And it's really working. We are making a difference, and hopefully soon we'll have a year-round trail there. So thank you, and they're a great bunch.
I'm taking it apart so you don't let it fall apart. Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. Thank you all.
Now,
We all have horses.
can we give him another round of applause? Nice job. And if you haven't had a chance to go to Whipple Creek Regional Park, I hope you will take the time to do so. It's up near the fairgrounds, west of the fairgrounds, and it is an amazing place to get lost in the wilderness in the middle of Clark County. And it has been upgraded substantially over the years by Anita and the committee, doing incredible work to actually bring it to a place where horses, bikes, hikers, people with strollers can all coexist and share the facility. So a gorgeous place, and I hope you will take advantage of it as one of the amazing natural resources that we have in Clark County. So our next award today goes to the Northeast 78th Street I-5 Interchange Community Landscaping Project. And this receives the Project Category Award for 2014. This was spearheaded by Vicki Fitzsimmons with the Sherwood Hills Neighborhood Association. Project volunteers braved gusty November winds, I remember, and was out there. And it was a brutal day, but with over 150 volunteers and people helping the volunteers and staff to help with a planting of bulbs and trees along the 78th Street I-5 interchange, that as the spring comes, take a look at it. Take a look at that interchange as you go by, and you'll start to see the flowers blooming, and you'll start to see the trees with the leaves on them, and it is such an improvement from what we saw before, and it is all due to the work of the volunteers that were out there, and Vicki and all of the crew who ended up leading the charge on this. So to all of you, thank you for your work, and would you please come up and accept your award?
Before I say a few words about the project, I'd like to set out two quick thank yous of my own. One to my employer, Edward Jones Investments, which allows me the flexibility and the freedom to do a lot of volunteer work in the community, and to my family, who feels a little neglected when I'm out doing volunteer work. So the project came about because over 10 years ago, the Washington State Department of Transportation did the upgrade on that interchange, and did all the hardscaping and did the interchange itself, but did nothing about the landscaping. So for over 10 years, there's been basically weeds and grass growing there. And by the end of the summer, it's a little bit of an eyesore, brown and just looking very plain. So I drive by there almost every single day, and in my conversations with other community leaders and neighborhood associations, it was identified as an area that would be a nice project to tackle. And I didn't want to let another year go by without getting something done there, because I really wanted to get some daffodil bulbs in the ground and be able to see them bloom in the spring. And I also do adopt a highway, so I was intensely aware of the fact that a lot of trash gets thrown down there too. I think that with the landscaping, it's going to look much better. I started the project, first of all, with Washington State Department of Transportation to get their approval and their planning, and then getting some funding from Clark County. And I was able to get help from my two right-hand men here, Doug Ballou from Northeast Hazeldale Neighborhood Association. He and I are both officers there. And from Isla Stanek with Hazeldale Salmon Creek Business Association. And between the three of us, we were able to get volunteers and donations gathered up. And there were a few other groups that helped out. Yard and Garden Land gave us a bark dust donation and helped with the staging of the items. We had a lot of neighborhood leaders from other neighborhoods, Fairgrounds, thank you, Bridget, Philida, thank you, Malata, West Hazeldale, again, thank you, Isla. And we had Fire District 6 commissioners come out on the day of the planting, and people from Clark Regional Wastewater also. So for myself, one of the biggest satisfactions was to see all these varied groups come out from the community and help get the actual planting done on the day of the project. It was very rewarding to see the crowd of people out there working hard, and Commissioner Stewart, you were there digging in the dirt also. So again, we're going to see some daffodils blooming here probably within the next couple weeks. Come a little bit further into springtime, we'll see some of the trees leafing out. There's 135 trees there, 3,000 daffodil bulbs. 75 of the trees are cedars, which are quite small, but they will grow eventually. So over time, we'll see that landscaping mature, and it'll provide a better appearance to the entrance to Hazeldale. And we would really like to see Hazeldale continue its revitalization and improvement, and anything we can do to help improve the image is a good thing. So I'd like to thank all those that helped me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of our labor here as things come into bloom. Thank you.
Thank you again for all your work in the community. Whose glasses? Somebody leave their glasses? Anybody's? Vicki, are these yours? They're yours. Ann's got them up there. All right. All right. Isla's going to take them to you. All right. Thought I might need them. That's fine. I appreciate it. All right. Now that we've had a great chance to hear from all of our award winners, we have a short presentation of videos on each project to tell you a little bit more about each one. So could you please roll the video?
Ann Foster is a tireless volunteer who is dedicating her retirement years to increasing access to healthy foods in Clark County. In 2010, Ann established 2 farmers markets in the Salmon Creek area. As director of the Salmon Creek Farmers Market, Ann works with over 70 local farmers, food producers, and artisan vendors to bring a community-based market to local residents.
And every dollar that's spent at a local farmer's market buying a local product stays within the economy, stays within the local community. It doesn't go to a corporate office someplace in Cleveland, Ohio. And it gets reused. There's some interesting statistic about the number of times that dollar stays and gets used within the local community. So once it goes into the pocket of that local farmer, it just stays right there.
In 2012, Ann worked with Public Health to add electronic processing technology at this market. This has given people who receive SNAP benefits greater access to fresh, locally grown produce.
Each market is a little bit different, and Ann is very instrumental in helping us promote the program, find ways to reach citizens who could benefit from using their SNAP benefits at the markets. And she's also full of all kinds of good ideas for how to improve markets and make them better places.
Ann also developed Produce Pals. a program that fosters connections between youth and farmers.
Basically what that does is that every time they return to the market in Salmon Creek on Thursdays, they get a token, a little wooden token worth $2. And with that $2 token, they can buy any produce they want. Or they can save it and then save up and after 5 weeks have $10.
As a member of the Clark County Food System Council, Ann advocates for land use policies that support local food producers. As Communication and Outreach Chair for the Washington State Farmers Market Association, Ann is instrumental in planning its statewide annual conference. Thanks to her advocacy, the conference came to Vancouver in 2013 and will take place here again in 2014. Ann's commitment to Clark County's local economy, food systems, and residents is inspiring. Her full-time volunteer efforts are helping local businesses to thrive and improving opportunities for all residents to enjoy fresh, locally grown food. Until November 2013, the Interstate 5 interchange at Northwest 78th Street was overgrown with grass, weeds, and anything else that could tolerate the harsh concrete and asphalt environment. Vicki Fitzsimmons and other businesses and community activists wanted to make a better impression on drivers exiting the freeway to enter Hazeldale.
On the day of, we had leaders from Sherwood Neighborhood Association, Northeast Hazeldale Neighborhood Association, Fairgrounds Neighborhood Association, West Hazeldale Neighborhood Association, plus the Hazeldale Salmon Creek Business Association. And it was really great to see all those people come out on the day of.
As a result of Vicki's hard work, dedication, and perseverance, the freeway interchange got a much-needed facelift on November 2nd, when 70 volunteers assembled to plant 150 trees and 2,000 daffodils over a 4-hour period.
She put months and months of planning into this, and I think it's really important to recognize someone like that and a project like this that really does benefit the community as a whole.
Local businesses, neighborhood associations, schools, and restorative community services all pitched in. Members of Friends of Trees demonstrated how to properly plant trees. Yard and Garden Land donated bark dust. The Washington Department of Transportation closed the inner lane of each ramp to ensure the safety of volunteers. Clark County Public Works provided a water truck for the fledgling trees.
I was so happy the day of the planting because just seeing this crowd of people show up and all grab their vests and shovels and get ready to work was really incredible. And so it was really neat. I was on the north side of the road and I was looking across at the south side, and there was this group of 40 people with their yellow vests on approaching, and to me that was the highlight of it, seeing this big yellow army walking towards the other side of the freeway. And I didn't even have to be there to supervise them. They all knew what they were doing at that point.
This multi-organizational volunteer project has created a welcoming entrance to Hazeldale and is a terrific example of cooperation, vision, and community pride.
There's a lot of positive things there, but there's also some rundown areas, and whatever we can do to improve the beautification and the livability of our community, this was a small gesture just to try to make the entrance to Hazeldale look a little bit better.
Whipple Creek Regional Park is a 300-acre, heavily forested area popular with hikers, joggers, mountain bikers, horseback riders, and other outdoor enthusiasts. But in wet weather, many of the trails become unstable because of mud nearly a foot deep.
One of the first things I noticed was how bad the trails had gotten, and very eroded and much wider, sometimes 25 feet in width, where they're supposed to be 4 feet. The mill itself had been vandalized severely, and it really hurt to see that.
In 2013, volunteers with the Whipple Creek Restoration Committee participated in multiple work parties to improve the site.
Yeah, they're not just weekend warriors. I mean, they're out there whenever they can to work on their vision, and that is to resurface the 4 miles of trail that are out there at Whipple Creek and make it usable for everybody, you know, the walkers, the runners, the mountain bikers, and the equestrians. And so it's a park that's becoming more popular because it's more usable, and largely due to, you know, their commitment.
The committee helped secure funds that the Landerholm, Landsverk, and Elmer families set aside years ago for park improvements. $25,000 was released to purchase base rock, barrack, rebar, and other materials for trail improvements.
Before we could use the heavy equipment, we used everything from shovels and wheelbarrows to draft horses to remove the mulch, because you can't fix the trail until you get rid of the mulch, and it's been really heavy, hard work for a lot of people.
The committee marshaled other volunteers, including Boy Scouts, faith-based groups, and high school students. Together, they improved drainage and resurfaced 11,500 square feet of trail.
It's been a huge godsend, basically, that everybody's pulling together. Culp's Construction actually rebuilt the whole south entrance to the park and made it possible to actually get equipment down to the mill. Before, it was pretty much impossible and very unsafe.
Now the committee is raising funds to restore the park's dilapidated mill.
You can always use more volunteers. It's a great place to come and visit. The second growth timber is absolutely stunning. There's wildlife, and there's a lot of history.
The committee continues to demonstrate how committed volunteers can help Clark County deliver superior service at less cost to its residents.
Congratulations to all of you. Our community is better for the work that you do every day. So to launch the rest of our program, I will turn the floor back to Susan Tussaud. Susan?
Okay, thank you, commissioners, and congratulations to each of our winners. It's my privilege now to introduce to you Commissioner Tom Mielke, the 2014 Chair of the Board of Clark County Commissioners. Commissioner Mielke is a longtime community member who has served as a county commissioner from District 1 since 2009. Before being elected commissioner, he served 4 terms as a Washington State representative from the 18th Legislative District. He is a decorated Vietnam War veteran. As a former trucking company owner, Commissioner Mielke has an abiding interest in transportation issues. Aside from acting as board chair this year, Commissioner Mielke's duties include serving as a representative to the Children's Justice Center, the North County EMS, and the Washington State Association of Counties Board of Directors. Please join me in welcoming Tom Mielke, the 2014 Chair of the Board of Clark County Commissioners.
Thank you, Susan. Find a place to put my water where it won't roll away. Thank you all. Very warm welcome. What a pleasure to see everybody here today. It's great. Well, again, good afternoon. I'm Commissioner Tom Mielke, and thank you for coming to attend the 28th State of the County event. In my office at the Public Service Center, I have a short quote hanging on my wall by a poet and author, Vivian Green. That quote says, "Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain." Now, I spent most of my life here in the Northwest. We know something about the rain here. I've served as county commissioner in the hardest of times since the Great Depression, so I know something about dancing in the rain. More than 5 years, Clark County has been battered by an economic storm. Today are signs of recovery and better days. According to the state, Clark County's average preliminary unemployment rate for 2013 was 9.4%. That's lower than during the depths of the recession when the unemployment rate peaked at 15.9% here in Clark County. But you know, I keep saying, let's not kid ourselves. Since all those extended unemployment benefits have gone away, those people are not counted. And some people just gave up looking for work. And the underemployed are not counted either, and they're not recognized. Things were a lot worse than what was indicated. In fact, I would even venture to say today could be 15%. Yet, there's reason to be optimistic. Let us share some good news. Consumer spending is up, and we can tell that by the revenues. Clark County tax revenues were up 8% last year, rebounding to where it was before the economy crashed. Construction is on the uptick. In 2013, the county issued permits for over $143 million in commercial construction. That's more than double the commercial construction that was done in 2012. It even surpasses the $121 million in commercial construction during the 2007. This has been our target, creating those new jobs by that commercial development. Thank you. Thank you. Home sales were up 19% during 2013, and the median price for home sales increased 16%. The county issued permits for 908 single-family homes last year. That was the same as it was in 2007. Another sign of recovery is that home foreclosures in Clark County fell last year to the lowest point since 2007. Make no mistake about it, we wanted the lead coming out of this recession, and we are. We are slowly emerging from an economic downturn that has plagued our county, our state, and our nation for more than 5 years. But there's still much more to be done. As I mentioned, too many of our citizens are out of work and unemployed. Too many people have stopped looking for work altogether and are no longer counted as unemployed. Too many county residents commute to jobs in Oregon because there aren't enough opportunities here. Too many families are still struggling to pay their bills and don't know whether or not they can send their kids on to college. And too many homeowners are still upside down in their mortgages and worried about their future. Here to tell you about what the county's been doing to overcome this are my fellow commissioners, Commissioners Steve Stewart and Dave Medore. First up, I'd like to introduce former Commissioner, Chair of the Board, Steve Stewart. That's a short cord they got there. You know that?
Short leash. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So although it's gratifying to see our economy slowly picking itself back up again and turning around, we have to continue to be mindful of our county's economic future, and the board is. My thoughts gravitate to the Discovery Corridor, the area along Interstate 5 from Salmon Creek into North Clark County. This area has amazing potential to create jobs now and in the decades to come. By focusing on the Discovery Corridor and building the necessary infrastructure, we are priming a powerful economic engine that can and will employ thousands. Thousands who now commute across the Columbia River for work. Thousands who could be spending time with their families instead of being stuck in traffic. And we're already working to lay the foundation for our success in the Discovery Corridor. This year, Clark County will wrap up one of the biggest infrastructure projects in our county's history, one that will be the gateway to the Discovery Corridor. The Salmon Creek Interchange Project, a $133 million partnership between the county and the Washington State Department of Transportation, is scheduled to open late this year. The Washington legislature contributed $84 million in state gas tax dollars to this critical project. The county assembled the remaining $49 million, including $22 million in federal money, $8 million in Washington State Transportation Improvement Board contributions, and $3 million in state regional mobility grants. The county also received a 20-year low-interest loan from the State Public Works Board that will be paid off using the county road fund. Now, I give you this breakdown not to bore you, although it may, but it's to illustrate a couple of points. First, the county could not have built this project without our partnership with the state. I want to thank those in the Washington State Department of Transportation and to the Washington Legislature who supported us in that effort. Second, the county sees this project as a pivotal investment in the Discovery Corridor and in our community's future. The new interchange at Northeast 139th Street will relieve chronic congestion in an increasingly important hub of our community. When this project is done, before the end of 2014, drivers will have dramatically improved access to small businesses, major retailers, work sites, neighborhoods, and schools. One of the anchors near the new interchange is the 220-bed Legacy Salmon Creek Medical Center. Last year, the medical center formed a partnership with Kaiser Permanente that will bring more patients and 200 more jobs to the Legacy Hospital. Another anchor near the interchange is WSU Vancouver, and Chancellor Ketzhammer is here with us today. Chancellor, where are you at? Chancellor Ketzhammer, would you please stand up? The Chancellor of Washington State University, Vancouver. Thank you for being here, though I cannot say go Cougs. Sorry. I'll try. It hurts just a little bit. Exactly, you have to kind of clear your throat to say it. With new facilities will come increased pressure on the roads around the campus, though. They're looking at additional facilities on campus to house approximately 3,000 students. So there will need to be improvements to the Interstate 205, 134th Street interchange, and better access from the north using 50th and 179th. In other words, the work is far from over. And there are links in the Discovery Corridor that are still to be created and connected. The next to the north of the 139th Street interchange is for the fairgrounds area and surrounding businesses. Last year, the county upgraded a short stretch of Northeast 10th in Salmon Creek, which built on improvements completed as part of the 139th Street interchange project. The Board of County Commissioners is committed to completing this corridor by building a bridge over Whipple Creek and creating another connection between Salmon Creek and the fairgrounds, where we see great potential for economic growth, not only at the fairgrounds and event center complex, but industrial and business park development along the corridor as well that desperately needs additional access. But to truly create the link to economic opportunity around the fairgrounds, we need to once again leverage our partnerships to rebuild the 179th Street interchange on I-5. This outdated interchange in the heart of the Discovery Corridor is woefully inadequate to serve an area ready for major growth. And the county is getting ready for that growth. The state has already agreed to contribute up to $500,000 annually in state sales tax revenues generated by new development in the area to help the county pay for needed road improvements near the interchange. And as much as we appreciate that, we want the state to go further and to commit to a full partnership on the interchange rebuild. Clark County is willing to do our share by improving our roads in the area. The state needs to do its share and rebuild the interchange. Thank you. But you can't talk about the importance of the Discovery Corridor and neglect the links that connect it to the south and the north along Interstate 5. A chain connected to nothing fails. We must ensure reliable connections on I-5 outside of the Discovery Corridor, which includes replacing the undersized and functionally obsolete I-5 bridge over the Columbia River. We'll get to the East County where there's some clapping, there's some booing. So we got a little bit on the I-5, and then we'll get a little bit on the east side. So there's a little something for everybody to love, a little bit for everybody to hate. So we'll get there, though. So last fall, the Board of County Commissioners asked voters for their input on a series of transportation choices. And as I alluded to, there will be more discussion about some of the things that our voters had to say with regards to the need for a new corridor on the east side of our community and their desire for us to take leadership on that. One of the other things the voters said by a healthy 56% majority was that they wanted us to take leadership in replacing the I-5 bridge along the Columbia River. Our citizens spoke. The board will follow the will of those people, and we will lead as they directed us. So I focused on transportation. Why? Because transportation is a crucial part of the foundation that is the underpinning for economic success. Experts agree that infrastructure is critical to determine which communities flourish and which stagnate. The way we incorporate this strategic component into all planning is by updating our county's comprehensive growth plan. That process is already underway with our partners, our cities, our ports, our citizens, talking with them about what they see in the future of the growth of our community. But we need you. We need you. We need your insights to help make the best plan for our community's health and prosperity. So finally, on a personal note, as it was alluded to before, most of you know I have decided not to run for re-election this fall, so this is my 10th and my final State of the County address. Former County Commissioner Bill Barron, who many of you know and many of you respect and love, helped shape the value I place on public service. Few of us can describe as eloquently as Bill can what it means to be a public servant. For me, it's about getting up each day, going to work, and looking for ways to make life better for the people who live here. I say that because there's a whole lot of people in this room who work for the county, who work for cities, who work for our community every day, and they don't do it for the thanks. They do it because they care. And for all of our employees that are here, could we please give the employees, whether you're a city or a port or a county employee, if you're a public employee, would you please stand and be recognized for everything you do every day, please? You know, and sometimes being a public employee means pursuing big, bold initiatives. Sometimes it means embracing small projects, programs that are all but invisible to most people but have a big impact. But at the end of the day, they leave every day, and I leave every day, and I leave this position proud of what we've accomplished together and incredibly thankful for the people I have been able to work with and work for. So thank you for that opportunity that you have given me, and thank you for the people who I have worked with. And one of those gentlemen that I've had a chance to work with over the past year and a half is a gentleman who cares very much about this community and is here to tell you more about what our community is doing moving forward and what we are doing as leaders in the Commissioner's office to make that happen. And that's County Commissioner David Medore. David?
Great gathering. I want to make sure you can hear me okay with this. I like hands-free. You hear me okay? No, speak up. Okay, can we turn it up a little bit there? Make sure that I can be hands-free if we can. Hello, okay. We're in good company. Can you hear me okay now? Is it coming up? Okay. All right, I'll try to speak up here. Anyway, I'm very thankful that I could serve, that you gave me a chance to serve here. When I look back over our first year, my first year in office, I'm pleased with what we've been able to accomplish. And I'm excited about what we can do in the future. Clark County is unique. Our identity is like no other. This is a great place to live and to play. But is Clark County also a great place to work? For some, yes. But every workday morning, 60,000 or more of us commute out of state to earn a living. We can do better, much better. Rather than serving as a bedroom community for Portland, we can grow up and become self-sufficient. We can become strong where we are weak. We can make Clark County the most business-friendly community on the West Coast. We can commit to making Clark County a great place to earn a healthy living right here at home. The good news is that we are already well on our way toward making that happen. We can call it Clark County 2.0. We had a partial fee holiday with some success for several years, but in June of last year, we took it to the next level. We removed every disincentive and every deterrent for businesses that create local jobs. We've streamlined our permit process to get building permits easier and quicker. We put the welcome mat out like no other community to invite businesses to build here and build now. Rather than depleting their startup cash up front, we've waived all permit fees and all traffic fees for businesses to encourage them to build here and build now. They can invest their startup cash to get their doors open and start hiring right away here in Clark County. We focus on making our customers successful, and it's working. Clark County is getting back to work. From June of last year through January of this year, applicants reports that our projects, those projects will generate 421 new jobs, nearly $11 million in business construction, and $144 million in new annual sales. Last month, developers announced plans to revitalize more than 4 acres on Highway 99 in Hazeldale. They credit our fee waiver program as an essential factor when making the decision to move forward. When completed, this will breathe new life into our Highway 99 business community. As these businesses form and grow, they add extra cylinders to our economic engine. In addition to providing local jobs, they generate sustainable tax revenue. By April, our online fee waiver reports will detail the significance of the new revenue so we can all clearly see how it pays off. As Commissioner Mielke noted earlier, 2013 was a solid year for commercial construction, and I expect that trend to continue this year. We encourage you to join us in spreading the word that Clark County is open for business. Let's let potential entrepreneurs know that this is the time and Clark County is the place for new business growth. Now that our state has pulled the plug on the Columbia River Crossing project, we need a new, clear path forward. What lessons have we learned from the $190 million tuition payment? Well, here are some. Major projects that will affect citizens for generations cannot be forced upon a community over their objection. The process is as important as the project. The big picture matters. Cost matters. Financial terms matter. Full, honest disclosure matters. Transparency matters. Accountability matters. Open competition matters. Local leadership matters. Community buy-in matters. And the voice of the people matters. That's why we committed to listen to the people. In a county-wide vote last November, we asked all county citizens, all county voters, for their positions on 5 major transportation choices. The map of the results have been posted online, and the picture is dramatic. Advisory vote number 1 showed that 223 out of the 228 precincts in Clark County voted to oppose all light rail projects unless a specific plan is first approved by the voters. In keeping faith with the voters, we will respect that light rail vote. Advisory vote number 2 showed similar results. The majority of citizens voted to oppose all bus rapid transit projects unless a specific plan is first approved by the voters. In keeping faith with the voters, we will respect the BRT vote. Advisory vote number 3 showed that the majority of citizens already approve of a 3rd toll-free bridge proposed to cross the Columbia River at Northeast 192nd Avenue. That proposal directed Clark County Commissioners to provide leadership and champion the new proposed bridge project. In response, all 3 commissioners voted unanimously to champion the new toll-free East County Bridge. And it's in the works. A world-renowned bridge building company is currently working on a proposal at no cost to our community. It is possible that we could be driving across our new toll-free East County Bridge in 5 years. If you want to watch the progress, the 1.0 version, we will update it soon here, is located online. It's eastcountybridge.com. And we continue to refine it, and we welcome community participation to make it better. Meetings with local leaders are continuing. We're starting smallest. I'm losing my voice. Actually, I'm getting my voice back, so I hope you can hear me okay. We're starting with a bottom up. Local leaders first. Smallest affected cities first, before moving up to larger jurisdictions. The quiet activity is rewarding and on track as the seed is germinating and taking root. But more importantly, we got community buy-in first by asking citizens. Now we will work with local leaders on both sides of the Columbia River, and we are working together to keep it affordable, toll-free, and smart for future generations. We can move forward with sensible projects when we work together. Let's talk about parks. Last April, we restored the free use of all Clark County parks and boat launches so citizens can better enjoy these beautiful amenities. We ended our parks contract with the City of Vancouver and realized substantial savings, and we regained the freedom to design and build and manage our own county parks. That new freedom has enabled us to provide citizens with the ability to make online reservations for special events and sports fields. That web-based system is scheduled to go live next month. We are fulfilling our promise to voters to build new neighborhood parks. We are building 2 new parks this year, Chinook Park in the Salmon Creek area and Dogwood Park north of Orchards. New park amenities and enhancements are being added, including a new parking lot for the Rush Prairie Dog Park and a new pedestrian bridge that will connect Washington State University, Vancouver, to Pleasant Valley Community Park, a largely undeveloped park just south of the WSU campus. Lifeguards. Outstanding lifeguards have been restored to Climb Line Pond. I could not have been more impressed by the diligence, the professionalism, and the quality of these new lifeguards. They are truly impressive and will be there when we need them during each summer as they were last year. We've made great parks a high priority for our community. They are in top condition and they're free to use. They enrich our quality of life, so let's use them. Let's talk about transparency. In every way we could think of, we've made changes to embrace transparency and open government. We opened the county's checkbook and posted it online so you can see how we are spending your money. We now record all of our meetings and post every document online. We created the grid. Keep in mind, that's the grid, okay? Where citizens can now find every document from every public meeting along with the video and the audio recordings. The grid shows people that this is their government, it belongs to the people, and we have the privilege of working for them. I want to talk about Grandma. When I was running for commissioner in 2012, I have something recorded in slow motion in my memory. It was an event that inspires me, and it continues to inspire me nearly every day as it inspires me to seek to find smarter ways to do government and to identify savings in the process. I was speaking to a neighborhood association of senior citizens. During questions and answers, a senior got up and said something that really got my attention. I remember thinking that this grandma was upset and worried. In my own terminology, I thought she was steaming. She said that she wasn't sure if she could continue to stay in her home because her property taxes were taking more and more of her fixed income. I didn't get her name, but I remember her very well, and have always affectionately called her Grandma. Please join me and always remember those that we serve and those that pay the bills. Let's do all that we can to keep the cost of living affordable and choose our priorities carefully. Please remember Grandma. Economic engine, our local economy is getting back in gear, and we are revving up. We are off to a great start, and we will continue to search out better ways to serve our community. We welcome ideas on how we can do government smarter and champion the healthiest future for our community. Now I'd like to be able to turn the microphone back over to Commissioner Tom Mielke. Please welcome Tom, the chair for 2014.
I had trouble hearing David. I don't know if it's me or the mic, so I'm not taking any chances. Thank you, Commissioner Stewart and Commissioner Medora. It's great to go back and review and touch on some of the great progress that the county has made. And I think that we're still not covering all of it. We're just touching on it, trying to summarize it. We know this last year we made good on roughly $12 million in past liabilities from previous bad choices and behavior. Even better is that we accomplished that so much without raising taxes and fees during those hard times. Your county commissioners have held the line for you and helped get through a very fragile recovery. Accomplishments like this just don't happen, and I'd like to take all the credit, but I can't. These success stories were achieved with the employees of Clark County. For example, Community Development Director Marty Snell introduced the lean process to streamline and improve the county's operations, and other managers have followed his suit. Our reorganization program that was started by former Administrator Bill Barron and is now shepherded by our Administrator Mark McCauley has helped us find better ways to run the county while saving money and talent. County continues to take positive steps to become more business friendly. In a little less than a week, or a little more than a week, sorry Marty, I didn't mean to rush you, a little more than a week, the county will open a remodeled permit center that has been designed for better service for all of our customers, saving them time, and time to them is money. Commissioner Stewart talked about transportation infrastructure projects supported to support those private developments. I want to briefly touch on another type of infrastructure that will promote prosperity farther north along the I-5 corridor in what is called the Discovery Corridor. Let me tell you, sewer is not the most exciting issue to dig into, but is vitally important to a growing economy. If our community doesn't have sewer, the private sector can't create those jobs. It's really that simple. For sewer, Clark County has joined forces with Clark Regional Wastewater District and the cities of Battleground and Ridgefield. The Discovery Clean Water Alliance, it's called, should lead to more stable rates for existing customers and also will allow new projects to be built faster and at less cost. One of these projects will be the Discovery Corridor Wastewater Transmission System, which will be along the I-5 corridor in North County. This project is a cooperative effort between Clark County Regional Waste District and the city of Ridgefield. It has the potential to open up multiple sites for development and help businesses create those thousands of jobs. The Discovery Clean Water Alliance shows how local jurisdictions can set aside those turf issues and work together to help the entire community. Last year, Governor Jay Inslee recognized the Alliance for outstanding achievement for a Governor's Smart Communities Award. Pete Capel, County's former Public Works Director, spent the better part of a decade leading the county's efforts to form that alliance. So it's only fitting to have Pete, who is now Camas City Administrator, come up and accept this award in behalf of the Alliance and Clark County. Pete, there you are back there.
Thank you, Commissioner Mielke. This was something that has meant a lot to me. It was a vision that Bill Barron and I worked together to create, but then we had so many strong partners, and it's just a great honor. John Peterson's in the back of the room, who works so tirelessly to implement this, which is going to make a big difference in creating jobs in the northern part of the county. So thank you.
Now, Pete, you don't get to take that back to the Camas City Hall. We just want you to hang on to it for a little while. But more importantly, we want to tell you how sincerely we thank you for your work in such an important project for all of our futures. The past year has been one in transition, with top managers retiring or leaving for other opportunities. Clark County prides itself in developing staff and promoting from within, and that philosophy has really paid off for the citizens of Clark County. When County Administrator Bill Barron retired, Mark McCauley, who headed General Services, was ready to step in. When Health Director John Weisman was tapped by the governor to become Washington Secretary of Health, Dr. Alan Melnick, the county's health officer, took on new responsibilities. When Pete Campbell became Camas City Administrator, Heath Henderson, our construction and engineer manager, took over the public works. And when Budget Director Jim Dickman became Pierce County Budget Manager and relocated to be with his new wife up north, Bob Stevens, then Finance Manager, took on the duties. If you were a basketball coach, these changes would indicate that you have a great bench strength. In our case, I think it indicates that we have great employees, and you see that every day. Will all you gentlemen please stand up and be recognized? Bob. I was hoping you'd applaud a little bit longer. I could have taken a bigger drink. As part of these high-level changes, the board has searched for creative ways to consolidate positions, modify duties, and strengthen our organization for the future. So far, we are saving at least $500,000 every year with the changes that we've made in that area. Thank you. We continue to use the lean process and other cutting-edge techniques to hone our workforce to meet future needs. The board reviews vacancies on a weekly basis to determine whether or not a new hire is required, and if so, at what capacity. Earlier this year, the county budget staff reported that our gradually improving economy, along with our internal focus on lean operations, helped keep the county financially stable through 2013. As we gear up now for 2015-16 budget, we continue a baseline budgeting and not approve new positions without new funding or reallocating existing budgets. We also have asked our departments to continue with workforce planning to project future staffing needs. We want to retain that expertise that we have in our workforce and let attrition take care of any reductions. Still, the simple fact is our revenues will not keep up with our expenses. So for a guy like me, it doesn't mean raising taxes or fees. The only answer for me is becoming even more efficient, and I believe our employees can do that. Another of the financial bows coming at us is health care. I think you've all seen that. The board has been keenly interested in the county becoming self-insured for health care. With health insurance, the county would pay the health care bills instead of paying the premiums to the insurance company. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute, 59% of the nation's private sector workers were covered by self-insurance plans in 2011. The county would obtain a stop-loss insurance to protect the county financially from extremely large or catastrophic claims. I'm very proud to say that we will become self-insured as early as April this year. Awesome. We expect the move to save taxpayers millions of dollars a year while providing better health care access to the employees. That thanks goes to our HR department who had put that together. Being county commissioner means making tough decisions. In 2013, we settled 2 lawsuits. One dates back 20 years, and it involved the incarceration of 2 men. We took a pragmatic approach to settle the case and limit the county's financial exposure, and that I have to give thanks to our fantastic financial team that we have. In the other case, the county reached a settlement with 3 groups that challenged us over stormwater management. Under that settlement, the county will provide $500,000 annually for 6 years to the Lower Columbia Fish Recovery Board for local water quality projects. The money will stay here, enhancing our environment and improving our community. In this case, the Environmental Services Department worked closely with our prosecuting attorney's office to come up with this settlement, ending 5 years of litigation and uncertainty. Environmental Services had many other accomplishments during this past year, including balancing the clean water budget by maximizing efficiencies, and I think we heard that earlier too when Ron Wierenga headed that up. The department also plays a key role in the organizing of the annual Recycles Arts Festival. Last month, the Vancouver Downtown Association recognized the popularity of the festival with a game-changing award as a People's Choice Favorite Event, and that's a mouthful. Sally Fisher from the Environmental Services headed up this sponsorship of this great festival. Sally, are you here today? There she is, way back. Sally, great job. Thank you so much. Last year, the American Public Works Association's Washington chapter selected the rain gardens the county installed in Mount Vista as Project of the Year in the environmental category. The project built 15 rain gardens, a cutting-edge stormwater management practice to capture the stormwater that runs off the roads. Environmental Services partnered with the Public Works Department to design and build these rain gardens with the assistance of a Washington State Department of Ecology grant. I'd like to thank Ron Wierenga for his leadership in clean water and all the other employees who had a part in this great big project. Ron, would you and your team stand up? Be recognized. There he is, already standing back. Ron, great job. Cutting edge. Great start. Rain gardens are one way to bring a little extra greenery to our economy and to our community. I'm a strong supporter of parks, ideally connected by a network of green spaces and trails, but I want them accessible by having parking areas so people can enjoy them. Yeah, I'm still a car guy, and I like wide roads, right turn lanes and left turn lanes, and plenty of parking spots, just no roundabouts. To make our parks really shine, we need your continued help. Our Parks volunteer program has been a rousing success in 2013. Volunteers donated more than 13,000 hours to beautify the parks and open spaces. We had a few of them up here earlier receiving those awards. Volunteers adopted 6 more parks and 7 more road sections adopted by people to clean up that stuff. Can't get over how much we have. They planted nearly 1,400 trees, bulbs, and other plants, and collected almost 800 bags of trash from parks, beaches, trails, green spaces, and roads. Thank you all. Great job. I think we have the best volunteers in the state. Thank you. Like other parts of the county government, the Clark County Sheriff's Office took cuts, tough cuts during economic times. Our deputies now spend too much time bouncing from one call to the other, and Sheriff Gary Lucas has had to cut back on the more specialized work. Although commissioners must always balance the needs of all the departments and priorities, we must protect the public. We take that responsibility seriously and understand that while we have made progress in recent years, more needs to be done. In recent years, we allocated more than $3 million for safety retrofits and record software at the county jail. We dedicated another $1.5 million to update our regional law enforcement record software. And most recently, we added 2 employees to the sheriff's office to help with the public records request. As we have stated publicly, it's our intention that in the very near future, Sheriff Lucas will be able to hire more deputies. There you go, Sheriff. I want everybody to know that we do that with our budget and finance people. They're looking for every dollar underneath every rock, and they're doing a fantastic job, and you can see what we've done and what we've paid. Putting more cops on the street is only one part of dealing with long-term needs. Most people don't realize it, but the Clark County Jail is one of the biggest mental health providers in our community, and taxpayers' expense, I might add. In this spring supplemental budget, the board will approve hiring 2 additional discharge planners at the county jail. They will help connect inmates with treatment providers for mental illness and chemical dependency treatment before they are released. Providing this assistance early will help reduce the chance inmates will return to the jail once they are released, and that will save taxpayers' dollars too. In addition, county commissioners have allocated $545,000 last year for facility upgrades at the county jail to reduce suicide and suicide attempts. Last year, we had none. Great job, Sheriff Lucas, and on your team. Awesome. Other parts of the county also are working hard to protect our well-being. Last year, Clark County Public Health led a 3-day emergency exercise. The purpose was to test the ability of staff and community partners to identify an illness, notify the public, and distribute antibiotics at a medication center, all within 24 hours. Public Health has made great strides since a similar exercise in 2005. The department has strengthened its relationship with emergency management agencies and improved its incident management skills. Now we are convinced it has demonstrated that its plan for mass dispensing of medication can and will work. Great health department we have here. And last April, thank you. And last April, our community planning department earned the National Award of Excellence from the American Planning Association for its groundbreaking age readiness plan. Congratulations to Colette Anderson and Jackie Camp. Are you here, ladies? I don't. Oh, there they are over there. Thank you, ladies. Great job. Good start. And we're still working on it. County employees aren't the only ones putting forth the extra effort in our community. Last November, we elected 15 freeholders who are now rapidly trying to write a home rule charter to present to the voters in the fall. There must be portions, I know there'll be portions of the charter I'm going to like, and maybe some I might not. But we should never be afraid to ask the fundamental question of whether we can do things better. I believe these 15 freeholders will help show us how we can do better, and I applaud them for their work and their commitment to our community. If any of the freeholders are here with us today, would you please stand and be recognized? Look at that. Thank you all. Big job. Lots of people to satisfy. Clark County is not afraid to try different things. We will experiment with new approaches to old problems. We will reward innovation and value ingenuity. It's all part of building a better community for tomorrow. A decade ago, when the economy was roaring along, we didn't have to worry so much about being lean and efficient. Those days are gone. I don't want them back unless we could sustain those. I would prefer a modest, steady, slow and solid growth. On my desk at the Public Service Building is a photo of one of my grandsons. It's because we spend so much time together. I have a large family, 22 grandkids, 9 great-grandkids, but only about half of them are here in Clark County. I have a son that lives in California, a boy in Spokane, and a daughter in southern Georgia. My vision of Clark County is a quality of life that provides affordable homes and good paying jobs so all of our family can live here. When you get older, you find out real quick what the quality of life is all about. It's about community, family, and friends. We three commissioners are individuals with different views and ideas, which is why we are all three here speaking to you today. You could even call us a family because we've been known to bicker every now and then. But in the end, I think it's a healthy debate. It means that the citizens of Clark County get a much better solution. Thank you. We share a common vision of wanting a better future for our community, one with more jobs and greater opportunity for prosperity. This is the state of the county today, one where there is a distinct signs of recovery after a prolonged economic storm, one where there's a clear vision of a healthy community with good paying jobs for our residents. Those rain clouds I mentioned earlier will never vanish completely. We'll always have more needs and far too little resources. We must work together creatively and diligently with our community to whittle away at our most vexing problems. Together, we can make a difference. We can build on the recovery today and promote a greater prosperity for tomorrow and put our dancing shoes on when it rains. Thank you all. God bless.